Hey, I'm Jason from Ruinworks. Today I'm going to go over and tell you what kind of scrap pieces I use to make the sculpture that's in front of me today. The sculpture is called Gladiator Launching Harpoon off of Stallion, because that's what he's doing. So let's start from the top. Alright, so his harpoon is made out of this is actually a piece of bar from a shopping cart. These are plate steel that I cut out and formed into this shape of the front of the harpoon. His fingers are bar stock that I actually purchased from a hardware store because they kind of had to be the right size. Here's also some shopping cart tube that I have right here. With some shopping cart tube that I cut at an angle and welded to his arm to make his forearm piece. And for his head right here, this is a chainsaw blade. This is the cutting teeth of the blade, and this is where the gear drive is. So what I did is I flipped it around and welded where the gear drive is. Well, I welded the cutting blade part to the top of the ball bearing. For his skull, I used I think that's a 2-inch ball bearing that I just purchased off of Amazon. It was like 10 bucks. It was like 2 for 20 bucks. For his shoulder pads, I used a stool that was in my other video. So all this was put on a skeleton that I had to make prior to throwing all this cool armor stuff onto him. Like, everything's welded onto basically bar stock like this that I actually got off a buddy. And this is all scrap that I try to acquire. Like, the spoons are all scrap spoons. The shopping carts are all acquired from shopping centers. Or scrap guys. I have a lot of scrap guys. I live in a city, and I have an alley. And in the alley, the scrap guys drive through, and I always flag them down and ask them to buy the scrap out of the back of their trucks. And actually, the reins right here came from a scrap guy, and I was buying a bunch of stuff off of the guy, and I go through a list. I ask him for chains and bolts and plate steel and miscellaneous stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, you want chains?" The scrap guy took this off of his neck and was like, "I'll throw that in there for you too." I was like, "All right, thanks, man. That's awesome." So this came off a scrapper's neck. This is also shopping cart. Most of them are shopping cart.
Can you just use any kind of shopping cart?
Oh, no, I try to use chrome shopping cart because there's galvanized shopping cart and there's painted shopping cart. I try and stay away from the galvanized and painted shopping cart. I try and stick with the chrome shopping cart because the chrome's obviously shinier and better looking in the end. There is some galvanized shopping cart on here that I missed and accidentally put on this guy.
Is the chrome harder to find?
The chrome is getting harder to find because less and less companies are going with chrome because chrome is more expensive. Painting them and galvanizing them is cheaper and just as preventative from rust, so they're staying away from chrome. So they are getting harder to find. So yeah, chrome shopping carts are getting a lot harder to find. These right here, these are dado blades. And what a dado blade is a stack of blades like this, and it's for a table saw. What it's used for is for making channels in wood, so you could stick like a shelf in there. When you take it apart, it has all these cool little blades in there, which I've cut apart and used each piece for his mane. You can see how I cut those apart and use each piece for his mane. For his horns, these are just 1/2-inch stainless bar, which is very hard to bend. I had to heat these up and bend them and really work on these things to get them bent. I had to heat them up with the oxyacetylene torch and get them red hot to bend them. And they're cut to get them to a point. I didn't pound this out. I didn't forge it down or anything. I just cut them to get them to a point. Eyeballs are locking lug nuts. They're just locking lug nuts that I cut in half and welded to his face. And his face is the corner of a bumper. It would be about this corner of a bumper. This is the front bumper that we're looking at right now. The horse was made out of the rear bumper. This is more stuff that I get off of the scrap guys rolling through the alley.
So did you get the bumper and with the idea of making the face, or did that just come to you? How did that come out?
I had already cut the bumper up for other pieces, and the two pieces were just laying around, and I just stuck them together, and I was like, hey, that looks like a horse face. So that's how that came about. Yeah, they were already cut up and laying around, and they look perfect for a horse face. Okay, so clearly you can see that these are also, his jaw are also dado blades. And then these are just his canines right here are just more bar stock. His neck is just more stainless steel bar stock. And what I used for his legs are bicycle rotors. All right, these things are bicycle rotors right here. I don't know if you can see them that well. These things inside here, and the back piece right there.
Wow.
What those are bicycle rotors. The disc brakes off a bicycle.
That's all. And you actually made it like 3D, not just using one of them.
Yeah, I cut one in half and then welded it on there as a flare to give them more of a shoulder and make it stick out more. And then from there, I welded what I used to weld the chain onto was yard sign wire. I used yard sign wire and welded the chain onto that. I really wish I would have used something thicker than that because he's pretty wobbly right now. He's pretty wobbly the way he is because the yard sign wire is pretty thin. But yeah, and then I welded bicycle chain. It's actually garage door opener chain that I welded to it. Bicycle chain, this is bicycle chain right here. It's a little thinner than what's on them right now, because what's on them right now is actually garage door opener chain. I welded that to the yard sign wire, and then coming down it's to some more 1/2-inch stainless steel bar, and then to some more cut off pieces of, I think his hooves are pieces of the stool with some more chain wrapped around it. And the plate that he's standing on is a plate that I got from another buddy from Telsmith. If you guys know what Telsmith is, it's a rock crushing place. He just grabbed a whole shit ton of plate for me. He's passed away now, so he's not gonna get in trouble for that. And the body of this guy is another piece of that rear bumper welded together. It would be these two halves. It would be this half, and it's not really on the front bumper. It would be like this half and this half of the front bumper, or of the rear bumper, cut and welded together to make them closer together. And that's what the body is of this guy. Okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. His visor is just a cut piece of pipe. It's just cut on an angle at the bottom. and then cutting in the back and just shoved on there. I don't know if you guys can envision that. I don't really have a piece of pipe that's cut like that right now. Pecs of this guy are also bicycle rotors. The spine of this guy is shopping cart pipe cut at an angle and just welded on an angle to make it flare out like that. Same with the tail. The tail's the exact same way. And then other than that, I think that's about all there is to this guy.
This is crazy how you show us all these different parts and the different uses they have and how you thought of an idea and, you know, find their place, their piece into creating this guy. But how do you, you know, stay true and figure out both like the shape of the human, the warrior, and the horse, and like sizing? Like that just seems like a pretty hard thing to, with all these pieces you're putting into it. How did you, you know, put the whole picture together?
Oh yeah, I had models. All right, I use models, and here's a model I use for the horse. I think this model is 1/16 scale. I can't remember, but let's say the legs of the horse are, let's say this is, I don't know, 7 inches long. No, let's say this is 6 inches long. So I made his legs 12 inches long. So I just scaled it up by half, or twice the size. So I made this horse twice the size of this horse. Same with the Gladiator sitting on top. I have another scale model of a human that I did the exact same thing with. Let's say this is, I don't know, what is that? 1.5 inches. So then this is 3 inches. That's how I got the scale to look proper.
Wow.
On the whole thing.
How long would you say this project took you around?
This whole project took 143 hours to complete. If you guys like this horse, please visit ruinworks.io. I'm sure it's still on there. Come check out the website at ruinworks.io. There's a lot more sculptures on there that if you guys like. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and thank you. All right, bye.